From the outside, running a digital agency seems like the dream job, right? You see the cool creative projects, the trendy offices, the fast growth. But behind that shiny veneer, there's a whole other reality, a much tougher one, especially for the person who owns the place. We're going to pull back the curtain on what's actually going through the mind of a small agency owner.
And boom, there it is. This isn't just some abstract business problem. This is a deeply personal, gut-wrenching crisis. This is the thought that literally keeps an owner staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., and it's a world away from the confident face they put on for the team every single morning. This really sets the stakes for what we're talking about.
So, let's start with that dream, because it's a powerful one. This is the image that pulls brilliant, talented people into the industry in the first place. It's all about creativity, innovation, and, success.
And hey, who wouldn't want to be a part of that? It's an amazing picture. But this very appeal, well, it creates a massive disconnect. Because while the team is living and breathing that dream, the owner is often just scrambling to keep the lights on. And that's where the friction really starts.
This brings us right to the core of the issue. The owner and the employees are, a lot of the time, operating in two totally different worlds. They have fundamentally different priorities. Let's really break this down. Okay, this lays it all out perfectly. Look at the left. I need my salary. It's got to be on time, I've got bills to pay, and that's 100% valid, totally understandable. But now look at the right. Before the owner can even get to that one salary, they have to run through this absolute minefield of other expenses. For them, salary isn't the first thing on the list, it's the final, massive hurdle they have to clear after everything else is paid.
Let's call it the cost iceberg. It's the perfect analogy. The salaries, that's the part everyone sees, right? The tip of the iceberg sticking out of the water. But underneath the surface, there's this huge, invisible chunk of expenses that the business has to cover just to stay afloat.
So here's the key thing to get. When a client's payment comes in, that money doesn't just go into a big pot labeled payroll. Oh no. First, it gets chipped away piece by piece by a long list of costs you just can't avoid. Let's run through them.
First up, the big one, office rent. It's a huge fixed cost that doesn't care if you had a good month or a bad month. It has to be paid, period. Then you've got the entire tech backbone of the company. And we're not talking about just one server. We're talking multiple servers, backups, hosting fees, all to make sure the client work is always online and the team can actually do their jobs. It's another bill that comes every single month.
And all those awesome tools the team gets to use every day? The design software, the project management platforms, all those subscriptions? Well, they all come with a price tag. And those monthly fees add up incredibly fast.
And let's not forget the basics. This stuff we take for granted. Super fast internet, with a backup of course, electricity, all the utilities. These are just the relentless, non-stop costs of having a place to work.
And finally, you've got the costs of just getting new business and staying legal. Marketing to find new clients, travel for meetings, and of course, the big one, taxes. All of this has to be paid out before a single dollar is even set aside for payroll.
So after all those costs have taken their bite, we finally get here, payday. Now, for an employee, it's a day of relief. Awesome. For a small agency owner, it could be the single most stressful day of the entire month. It's like walking a high wire act, trying to balance the cash you have with the cash you owe.
This right here is the question that exposes just how fragile everything is. I mean, think about it. The work's been done. All those expenses for the month are real and they're due. But the cash, it just isn't in the bank yet. The payroll deadline, though, that doesn't move. So, what does the owner do?
And there it is, the personal sacrifice. The business's cash flow problem instantly becomes the owner's personal financial crisis. That line between the company's bank account and their own personal savings account, it just completely vanishes.
This quote just nails the disconnect, doesn't it? And look, this isn't about blaming anyone. It's about perspective. An employee is, and should be, focused on their own financial stability. But they often have no idea that the owner might be dipping into their kid's college fund or taking out a personal loan just to guarantee that stability for them.
So how does an agency get through this? How does it survive all this tension? It's not about owners just working harder, and it's not about employees wanting less. It's about a fundamental shift in mindset, moving from me and my paycheck to we and our company. It absolutely requires a shared understanding of the reality.
Here's the core conflict in a nutshell.
Of course, there's a natural desire for all the rewards, good pay, less pressure, promotions, but sometimes there isn't an equal desire for the things that actually make those rewards possible. Taking on deep ownership, putting in the extra effort when it's needed, and a real long-term commitment to the company's health.
Look, it has to be a two-way street. It's a partnership. Owners have a huge responsibility to create a fair culture, to show respect, and to provide real opportunities for growth. But in return, employees have to bring their A game, their skill, their loyalty, and maybe most importantly, a mindset that's focused on growing with the company, not just taking from it.
And this is the ultimate truth, isn't it? If that shared responsibility isn't there, the company is always going to be fragile. And a weak company can't give raises, it can't offer promotions, and it certainly can't provide security. In the end, everyone's fate is completely tied together.
So that leaves us with one last question to think about. And it doesn't matter if you're an employee, a manager, or an owner. Ask yourself this: are you just trading your time for money? Or are you an active partner, investing your effort in building something that can succeed for everyone involved? The answer to that question? Well, it might just define the future of your entire organization.